footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Sit next to Rafael Fernandez, and we'll bring you a CFL team preview for the Toronto Argonauts. Hey, look at the Argos. Head coach Jim Barker runs a tight ship, very well disciplined team. These guys went 9-9 last season, 4-4 versus the West, 5-5 versus the East. But they made the playoffs, so you give them some credit. But you talk about that pass offense, they have one of the worst passing offenses in the league. Cleo Lemon is a guy that's a talented player, but struggles. He has to do a better job of cutting down those interceptions, although he did complete 61% of his passes.
He definitely needs to improve that, and I think the team knows they need to improve their passing. That's why they acquired Steve Giles from Winnipeg in the offseason to kind of give Cleo Lemon some competition to see who's going to be the man to man the offense over there. But they definitely need to improve it.
That pickup was huge. Steven Giles is a guy that I really like. Very mobile, very accurate passer. His only problem is he holds onto the football a little bit too long, which gets him in a lot of trouble out there. We got him in a lot of trouble out there in Winnipeg, but he's a very talented player. 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Now, running the football, you begin and end when you talk to run the football with Toronto with Corey Boyd. Outstanding player, very physical, run over 1,300 yards, but he kind of tailed off a little bit late. I think he had to get used to that 18-game schedule in the CFL. But, very talented player, second leading rusher in the CFL. So talk about their running game.
Well, another thing that went against him is the fact that he pretty much had to carry the team.
Right.
Fatigue is going to set in. I don't care how good you are, or how conditioned you are. 18 games is bad enough, but when you got to be the man, basically the entire offense, it's going to get to you. But I believe that if they can improve at quarterback, it's only going to help their run game that much better, because that'll give them basically enough time for the won't be so fatigued, and that'll help them get through the season.
And depth was a concern. So keep an eye on Gerald Riggs, the running back, and also another talented player, Dwayne Wright. Both guys are 6 feet, 230 pounds. Riggs was a guy out of Tennessee that really liked coming out of college, so they got themselves a steal. So they should be able to run the football throughout the season, utilize those double tight end sets that they like a lot. Now, catching the football, they had a bad case of the dropsies. These guys have a lot of talent, but they have a lot of drops. And drops is not an official statistic, but they dropped a lot of passes last season. That's why the passing game kind of struggled. But I like Jermaine Copeland. They brought him over from Calgary. He was supposed to be the next big playmaker. He did well, but he didn't do what he did his last season in Calgary. What can that receiving core do to get better?
I think the change of scenery for this man is going to be the recipe that the doctor ordered. He's going to come in there, and I think he's going to be the man. He's going to help out whoever the quarterback is going to be. And in the end, I believe that their passing offense improves. They have to be better than what they were last year. Come on.
Well, he led the team in receptions last year with yards and 639. But you get a breakout year from Andre Dury. This guy, very talented, 5'10", 197. I like that size for those receivers in the CFL. So he had a breakout year, but the big playmaker of that offense in that receiving core is Chad Owens. Very talented player, also dynamite kickoff returner. But this guy, almost 3,000 yards of total offense. Chad Owens is a guy that serves that drink in the passing game. You get him a short pass, he can take it a long distance. I like that. The receiver, what kind of an impact, though, can PK Sam have? Getting him back, can he have a big physical impact? Can he be that receiver to take pressure off Copeland and also off Dury? But those are the guys. And they got a lot of rookies. DeJems, Kawami, Speedster, Jed Gardner, another guy they drafted, and Julian Fioli Giordano, but also keep an eye on last year's rookie, Steven Turner. They got a lot of receivers, a lot of young guys, but can those young guys step up?
They have a lot of question marks, that's for sure. When you have a lot of young players that are talented, it could be feast or famine. But I think they're going to be better than they were last year. They have the ability to basically blow you out with their passing game, but it all depends if they show up.
All right, look for Giles to get out there. Spencer White is another wide receiver that you want to keep an eye on. Now, offensive line, they got a very solid bunch. I like that. You got to have a solid bunch if you're going to run the football like they do. Chris Van Zyl is a very good player and should continue to blossom. Talk about that offensive line, what you expect out that team this year.
They're very solid. Any offensive line that has a good running game is a good offensive line. They just need to help the passing game a little better. Other than that, but I think their offensive line is basically the best unit on their offense, if you ask me.
Well, Tyler Holmes was a solid first-round pick to help out that offensive line. Interiors where Jeff Keeping and Dominic Picard, the center, and Taylor Robertson, the guard. So guard to guard, they're fine, including the center. Picard is a very good center, and they clear holes for Boyd to run through. But the re-signing of Shannon Boatman was probably the biggest signing, keeping him on that book and protecting whoever's going to be back there quarterback. I like Giles, so I think they're going to be fine at the offense, like very solid group. Now, defensive line, they were very solid against the run, and especially on the interior. You talk about Kevin Huntley is a man-child, 9 sacks on the interior. This guy causes a lot of disruption. But where's the pass rush? They only had 34 sacks total. So you take out Kevin Huntley, and you also take out Ronald Fleming's 8 sacks. That's half the sacks out of 2 people. They need to get more pressure from off the edges. How can they do so with that defensive line?
Well, I mean, they have to disguise some packages and basically try to do something else, because that's a lot of sacks to play. I mean, their defense is very solid. I believe they were the best in the league, if you ask me, statistically and just by looking at them. That's the reason why they were successful. I mean, most of the ones were because they just hold opponents to low scores, but they need to improve. They need to figure out how they're going to get some sacks. That's definitely for sure.
Well, what could help these guys out last year, they signed Ricky Foley out of BC. He got hurt in the beginning of the season. This guy was a sack monster, so he should be healthy. If he stays healthy, you team him up with Flemings and also with Huntley. Now they probably be able to get pressure. It all depends on how healthy is Ricky Foley, and he has to get back to that 09 form. But I also like Alex Busby. This is another guy that's very talented, a depth guy that can help out that Argos defense. Now you look at the linebackers, very physical group. You start with Kevin Ivan, 11-year vet, over 100 tackles. This guy's a phenomenal player, very talented defensive player. You like their linebacking core. I like Jason Pettinger, breakout year last year, 6'2", 220 pounds.
He's a talented player. I mean, he's the type of guy that can, he's a great player. He's a playmaker. He's going to be the type of guy that you can count on to make a big play down the stretch.
But you also want to keep an eye on Greg Blue, another guy that's very talented, former safety out of Georgia, moved down to linebacker. Also E.J. Qualley, special team standout guy at LSU. So they have a lot of talent at their linebacking core. What can Jordan Younger do for a non-core? He's another guy that's like Greg Blue that went from a secondary down to linebacker. Last year was his first year playing linebacker, did an outstanding job. Now the secondary, so they struggled last year, but that's due to the fact that they couldn't get pass rush. So how would you like that secondary after losing Willie Miller-Brooks to an injury?
Well, their secondary, like you said, they're talented. They're good. They're a good group. It all depends on what of the pass rush. If they can get a pass rush, that's only going to help them be that much better. But if they have to be out there covering for too long, any secondary will struggle with that. But I think these guys, if they have a pass rush, they're going to be a solid group.
Well, you keep an eye on Sean Smalls. This guy be maybe the next standout player. Thrown into action last year as a rookie, did outstanding, especially in that Montreal game. But I also like Brian Parker out of Tulane, wily veteran, helps out that team a lot. Very talented in the secondary, and moving Willie Powell to safety was a big key. They moved him from linebacker to safety. He proved to be huge for that team. Now, what do you like most about Toronto?
Their special teams. I think their special teams are what set them up, and if they continue to be that strong, then that's only going to help their offense that much better. I like Giles, which is the reason why I think they finished second in the division, if you ask me. I think Giles is going to help them become, I don't know about put them over the top, but they're going to be a lot better than they were last year.
What I like about Toronto, I like their ground game with Boyd and company. Adding Giles, again, is going to be huge. I like that. I think he's going to win that job. Defensive help, getting Ricky Foley back is going to be huge. Teaming up with Huntley, they're going to have a lot of success rushing the quarterback. Now, what I don't like is if Foley goes down, how can they get that consistent pass rush and the depth along that defense line? They're solid as starters. Do they have the depth? However, adding Giles, I think they're going to finish #1 in the East. I'm picking them to win that division and go to the playoffs. They gave Montreal all they can handle. They really match up well with Montreal. I like Toronto winning that division.
Wow.
And Chad, you're right with the special teams. Chad Owens is the guy that you got to like. Very, very exciting football player in the CFL. For more CFL previews, visit footballgameplan.com/CFL or visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Listen to the Football Game Plan radio show, which airs Saturdays 11 a.m. Eastern Time at blogtalkradio.com/footballgameplan.